Hi there, it's Mike from A1 Air Conditioning and Heating. I'm here to service the gas furnace.
Come on in.
Thank you. Get my shoes off to go down. Thank you. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the doors off and we're going to do a little bit of a visual inspection here just to see how things look to begin with. This is going to give me the access to look inside the blower to make sure it's not all full of dirt and dust and all that stuff. So what I'm doing is just inspecting the filter to make sure that it's still adequate and it's not going to restrict any of the airflow and have the furnace overheat on you. And that does look fine. So with this panel off, it actually now allows me to take a good peek inside and see what's going on. We've got a pipe that's from the outside and that can get plugged up with leaves. Sometimes it can be brought into the area here where the combustion air is. We want to make sure that nothing's been sucked up from the fall when all the leaves were flying around. And visually look into the heat exchanger, make sure that there's no signs of any rust or anything of that nature or deterioration of it. And again down to the burns, make sure we're all good. And that part of it all looks fine. Now to the blower, just to make sure that we don't have any dirt or dust that's accumulated in there that might affect the airflow coming through it, which if we slow the airflow down on these furnaces, it can cause problems with the heat exchanger overheating and eventually deterioration of the heat exchanger, prematurely you might want to say. So the next thing is I'm going to give it a cleaning. I'm going to be starting up my vacuum so don't let it scare you. So once I get this back together, I'm going to be starting up your furnace and making sure that there's proper temperature rise, which means the furnace should operate between a certain temperature. And if it's not, it's going to cause problems with the heat exchanger, furnace overheating, deterioration of the furnace in general. So we'll make sure that all that's working fine. Just so you know, today's modern furnaces, they have all these different safety switches, and one is called a high limit switch, that if the furnace fan motor burns out or your furnace filter gets too dirty, this high limit switch will open up at a certain internal temperature within the furnace, and it shuts your furnace down and says, hey, we're running too hot. And that's the importance of having a clean filter and not restricting ductwork. We have a flame sensor in here as well, and that flame sensor is detecting that the burners have come on and that the burners now can continue to run properly. If for whatever reason the flame sensor does not detect that burners are on, it's going to shut the gas off to the gas valve, making the home safe where you're not spewing gas into the home. We also have pressure switches in the furnace. The pressure switches are linked to the drainage and to the venting part of the system. If the vent pipes got blocked up either by snow or other restrictions, the furnace will not start. If your drain line also gets plugged up because of blocked drain lines, which we've inspected, then the pressure switches again will shut the furnace down to say, hey, there's a problem with it, and it just makes things much safer compared to the older furnaces. Okay, so the next thing is I want to go upstairs to your thermostat if you don't mind, and we're going to start up the furnace and see how it's running. All ready? Yeah, so I'm just going to turn up your thermostat, and then we're going to quickly go back downstairs. I want to watch the furnace start up. Make sure everything's fine. I'm going to check its temperature rise to make sure the furnace is operating within the proper rate of where it should be temperature-wise. They do have a rating that says it should operate between this, and we want to make sure that the furnace is working properly, just so you don't have a heat exchanger failure possibly. So we're just going to turn this up. I've just turned it up for a couple degrees, and if you want to come down, you can watch what I'm doing. And by what it's telling me, that the furnace is operating properly within its range. Okay, so this is all good, and I want to go upstairs now and check for carbon monoxide in the home to make sure you have nothing upstairs. Okay?